Welcome inside the RX New York studios for another episode of Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. Right now, a purchase of $25 or more after all discounts and before shipping will net you this Nitralized S in Berry Blast flavor right now only on speciesnutrition.com. Also, if you shop on speciesnutrition.com, you can use our promo code RX20 to get 20% off your next purchase. Live right now on our YouTube channel and on rxmuscle.com, the exclusive interview with Giannis Magkos. It was done yesterday. The Greek bodybuilder, best known for the slap heard around the world, Slapgate, whatever you want to call it, the story which went absolutely viral of the angry Greek bodybuilder who finished one spot away from earning his pro card, went after the judging panel before slapping an IFBB official, the MC of the show. He came on with Dave to break his silence. That right now is on rxmuscle.com. As we now bring in Dave Palumbo. Dave, you have a couple of very important announcements concerning next month, January 2017.
Well, I got a lot to announce because tomorrow we'll have Iron Rage on with John Romano and I. We talk about the atrocities that are going on in the Scandinavian countries with profiling of bodybuilders and drug testing them, putting them in jail, fining them, taking away their driver's license. So that's a big show, big topic tomorrow. Also, tomorrow will be the 1,000th episode of the Muscle in the Morning. I can't believe it. It's been 4 years. It feels like it was just yesterday we started, and we did 1,000 episodes. Will be tomorrow, and Johnny Styles put together a terrific tribute show, so you guys are not going to want to miss it. You want to watch from the beginning to the end. Don't skip anything because it will be a collector's item for sure. Also, next month will be January 14th in San Diego, California. Hosted by Derek Farnsworth over there at Hardcore Fitness. We'll be at the, I'll be doing my diet or secrets of becoming a diet guru course. And I know a lot of guys on the West Coast have been asking me, Dave, when are you going to come out here and do this class and teach us, diet, supplements, performance enhancing drugs, all the great stuff that you teach for men, women, off-season, pre-contest, detoxification, all your stuff. It's a 10-hour class. You can't get much better than that. It's a whole college education in one day. I will be out there on the 14th of January. Guys, you got to sign up now because I'm telling you, this. I'm almost full already. I got to tell you, I sold 75% of the seats already. You go to DavePalumbo.com and sign up. I promise you, if you're looking to be a diet coach or you're just looking to understand how the body works and how to manipulate all the different aspects and variables about being a bodybuilder, this is the course to take. You won't have to worry about what we're telling you is true or not, because it is. And I break things down very simplistically so you understand what's going on. Also, at the end of the month, January 28th, we'll be in New York. Johnny and I, that's right, Johnny and I will be flying to snowy New York for Bros vs. Pros and at ProFit Gym in Deer Park. And Alex Luca is going to be hosting that again. Akeem Williams has confirmed with me that he will hold off his Oxygen Gym trip out to Kuwait to make sure he makes his appearance there as the defending the IFBB pros in that strength battle. Also, Colette Nelson will be back defending the women bodybuilders, women who are competing in the event. That's going to be a lot of fun. Alex has all kinds of catered food there, and we're going to have booths and all kinds of craziness there. So that'll be January 28th. So you mark your calendars for that. If you want to enter that, it's free to enter, free to attend. Start training now because we'll be doing the bench press for reps, 225 for men, 60% of women's body weight for the women, and then on the deadlift we'll be doing 315 for the men, and for the women it'll be 160 pounds. So that's a lot of exciting stuff going on for a dead month. Everyone says nothing happens in January. Well, on rxmuscle.com, we never stop.
On that note, there also is the latest episode of Iron Debate right now on rxmuscle.com and the YouTube channel, where we essentially had a wrap-up of the year that it was in 2016, who was the most impactful bodybuilder, who was the most surprising bodybuilder. Everyone gave their bold prediction for 2017, and of course, which was the most over-the-top story of the year 2016. As we now go to the questions, again, 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. If you want to join in, you can join on the YouTube channel, asking questions on the chat box on the right-hand side. on the Muscle Central forum on rxmuscle.com, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter using hashtag AskDave. Let's go to the Muscle Central forum and start with Anthony Triguero. For someone not competing, do you recommend them to go off cycle twice a year, time on equals time off? Or do you think coming off once a year is just as beneficial for the long run?
Well, if you're not competing, I don't see why you need to stay on the whole year. So I probably would say take 4 weeks off. You know, I would say take 6 weeks off. This is usually what I do with my clients. 6 weeks off mid-season sometime, and then go back on, and then at the end of the season, go off for a good 8 to 10 weeks. So this way you're off about 3 to 4 months every year is a good, I guess you could say, if I had to make a blanket statement, you know, I would say that. Now, if you're competing competitively at the elite level, okay, probably only going off once a year is the way to do it. And I would just go off for 8 or 10 weeks at the end of every year, go through your off season, right into pre-contest, and then when the show's over, taper off everything, go off, clean out, you know, over November, December, January, you know, and then as January comes around, the second week or so, you go back on. I think that's the prudent way. I did that my whole career, and I found that worked really well.
So, you know, we always tell you to sign up for the Muscle Central forum, and the reason we do that is because we want you to be interacting with us on all these topics and all these shows. That's where the discussion takes place, but it's also because, you know, we like to reward some of the more loyal, longtime members of the Muscle Central forum who have been with us for a long time, and one of those members is PTB, and he wants to know, so he's been reading that some plant foods can cause inflammation and arthritic symptoms. Some examples are from nightshade plants, tomatoes, white potatoes, peppers and chilies, eggplant, strawberries, peanuts. He wants to know if you agree with this, or should one limit their intake of these foods to a minimum?
No wonder why my shoulders have been killing me. That's all I eat is peanuts and tomatoes and peppers and all that stuff. That's my favorite foods. Now I know I have arthritis. Guys, I wish it was so simple. I really do. I don't believe that certain foods necessarily will antagonize joint pain. I think that certain foods, you know, could be considered acidic in the body. They could be considered maybe pro-inflammatory in terms of increasing a little bit of inflammation in the body. But I don't think if you have like chronic joint pain, it's being caused by the foods you're eating. I eat a pretty anti-inflammatory diet in the sense I don't eat red meat very infrequently. I have red meat. I do eat chicken. I eat fish. I eat, you know, eggs, but I don't eat a lot of acidic foods. I try to eat a lot of greens. I do a lot of calcium supplementation. I do alkalinized water. So, you know, and I still have joint pain. So I don't think that the food is, because what happens with people is they become so neurotic and so afraid of everything they put in their mouth that they become food phobic and they start getting neurotic about it. And that's not good. You don't want to be afraid of everything you put in your mouth, because then the anxiety that you create by the foods you eat is what creates the symptoms. It almost becomes a psychosomatic thing. So if the foods are healthy in the sense that you're eating fresh vegetables and fresh fruits and, you know, in an off-season scenario, and you're eating good quality, you know, protein sources and good essential fats, I would not worry about all these kooky, crazy, freaking studies that come out and prove this and that, because one study says one thing, a week later, another study comes out and disproves exactly what that study just proved. So, guys, be instinctual about your diet. If you're eating fresh foods and you're not eating processed foods with a lot of sugar in them, you're fine.
Let's go to Persian Punisher 420. Dave, my favorite snack meal is 2 scoops of chocolate peanut butter cup isolized and 2 very hearty tablespoons of natural peanut butter. My question is, do I count the carbs from the natural peanut butter? Or since it's derived from nuts, in this case peanuts, does the fiber content make the carbs non-net carbs?
That's a good question. I think a lot of people are confused about net versus fibrous carbs. Obviously, if you have a product that has 20 grams of carbohydrates in it and 15 of those, you know, grams of carbohydrates come from fiber, then you only have 5 net carbs, meaning only 5 of the carbs are absorbed. Peanuts do have some fiber in them, but they do have some net carbs too, meaning carbs that are just natural sugars in the peanuts, okay? We're not talking about added sugar that some of these peanut butter companies do. I'm talking about a natural peanut butter that's just ground peanuts and salt. those natural sugars that are in there, don't worry about them. They're not a lot, okay? There's not a lot in there. You're going to eat carbs, and everything you eat has some carbs in it, a little bit. It's impossible to be devoid of it unless you're having like a pure oil or something like that. So don't get concerned with that. I only have people count the extra carbs that people put into the starchy carbs or the vegetable carbs. Because I know people that eat a lot of starchy vegetables. You could eat corn and peas and you get a lot of carbs in that. That's not good. But if the foods that I recommend, nut butters, nuts, whole eggs, obviously meats, even avocados, you don't have to worry about the trace amount of carbs that are in those foods, even if they are net carbs. They're low enough that you will still be in ketosis.
Let's go to Icon. Show off Dave and Sid. I would rather get slapped by Giannis Makos than watch this show. Reminder, Giannis Makos, exclusive interview right now on rxmuscle.com. Dave, is it necessary to refrigerate HCG and GHRP6? Also, can I load the GHRP in the syringe and just have them ready to go?
One more time, Sid.
So he wants to know if it's necessary to refrigerate HCG and GHRP6. Also, if he can preload the GHRP in the syringe and just have it ready to go.
All right. This is a good question also. A lot of people, I used to have a friend who used to put steroids in the refrigerator. And if you'd ever see a steroid after it's refrigerated, all the oil globules get like big and clumpy and stuff like that. Steroids don't need to go in the refrigerator. They shouldn't be. They should be kept at room temperature because they're oil-based. But the water-based compounds, and I'm not talking about water-based steroids, I'm talking about the protein hormones. Protein hormones are very heat, I guess you could say, sensitive. Meaning that if you heat them up too much, what happens to the protein is it becomes uncoiled. It loses its three-dimensional structure, and it becomes what we call denatured. It loses its functionality, okay? That's not good. So that's why growth hormone, insulin, HCG, especially once it's mixed, needs to be kept refrigerated. Because once you mix a powder with a water, the hormone becomes active and becomes even more unstable. So even though HCG doesn't need to be kept refrigerated, once it's mixed, definitely keep it in the refrigerator. Same thing with all your peptide hormones. I would always keep, GH is so expensive, I would always keep it in the refrigerator. And IGF, believe it or not, can be kept in the freezer if you want, because the freezer doesn't hurt IGF-1, but at least keep it in the refrigerator once it's mixed, okay? And this is the truth with all protein hormones. Insulin, doesn't need to be necessarily refrigerated, but if room temperature gets too high, it will lose its functionality. I've seen diabetics during the summer months who don't refrigerate their insulin and carry it with them in their little bag they carry around. They can't control their blood sugars all of a sudden, and they realize that the protein in the insulin compound or the polypeptide chain that the insulin is made up of has become denatured, and they have to go buy new bottles. So just watch it. Better safe than sorry. Keep it in the refrigerator.
We go to our YouTube channel now and check in with Ronnie D. Dave, is taking IGF-1 LR3 safe on a keto diet? Would it speed up the fat burning process?
IGF-1 doesn't burn fat. Okay, it's not a fat mobilizing hormone. Growth hormone is a fat mobilizing hormone. IGF-1 is a muscle building hormone. Now, if you take IGF-1, sometimes you do burn some body fat because it speeds your metabolism up a little because it's increasing protein synthesis. So I wouldn't use IGF-1 on a fat burning type of cycle / diet because number one, IGF-1 has an insulin-like effect. So if you're on a ketogenic or low-carb diet, it's going to drop your blood sugar. Even if you're on just a regular low-carb diet and you're not eating, a ketogenic diet, it'll still drop your blood sugar a little bit. So, and because when you're dieting, the strategy is not to build muscle, because it's hard to do that because you're not eating an excessive amount of food. The strategy is to burn fat and maintain muscle. I would save the IGF for the off-season. Use the growth hormone pre-contest.
Let's go to Ronnie G. He wants to know what are the best meds or supplements for after a show, like for blood pressure, liver care, and thyroid.
It's a good question. I give out a protocol called my 3-week detox or cleanse program. If you send me an email at huge285@aol.com, I will send you a copy of that. Care of no compliments of me, because I believe that everyone should understand how to detoxify their body. It's very important. Probably the best and the only product that I've ever used or encountered on the market to help cleanse the kidneys, flush the kidneys, reduce inflammation around the kidney tubules so they work better, is a product called Kidney Stuff. I sell it at DavePalumbo.com. I don't make it, but I sell it because I believe in the product so much. I've seen a lot of guys who've come to me with high creatinine and BUN numbers. We got them on the Kidney Stuff, and the numbers have come down quite a bit. So I recommend you do at least 60 days of that. That's 2 bags of it. Some guys use it all year round, just for kidney protection. But I would at least at the end of a cycle use two bags of it, 2 months in a row. The directions are very easy. Just go to DavePalumbo.com. If you want to detox your liver, which is a good idea. I do it all year round. You can use a product called European Milk Thistle. Life Extension makes it. I buy it from Amazon.com. You can buy it from LifeExtension.com. I think Amazon's actually cheaper. I take 1 pill twice a day. It's actually a gel cap. It's a liquid form of the most of the time it's a powdered form of a capsule. This is actually a gel cap. I find that it works really well. Once again, the way milk thistle or silymarin, which is the herb in the milk thistle, works is that it reduces the inflammation in the liver around the bile ducts. The bile ducts are what the liver uses to release toxins out into the gallbladder, which then flushes them into the colon, or I should say into the small intestine, which then flushes them out of the body. So if you reduce inflammation in the liver can better detoxify itself. If the liver gets swelled up and inflamed, like it does when you're taking steroids and it's having to work real hard or you're drinking a lot of alcohol, those biliary ducts get cut off and they can't dump the waste out of the liver. So the milk thistle keeps those ducts open better, keeps them dilated, it keeps the inflammation down, and you'll see better liver values on your blood tests. So those 2 are the most important to do on a regular basis, the kidney stuff and the European milk thistle. As far as, like I said, a detox for 3 weeks every year, you should probably do my detox and cleanse program. Once again, if you send me an email, I will send it to you, compliments of me. Once again, I'm a big believer in detoxification. I also I have a bar I sell. It's called my 100% raw cacao bars. They sell like wildfire. I just got a new shipment in. They're about 8 squares per bar, and you eat about 1 or 2 squares per day. There's no caffeine or no stims in them, but there are tons of theobromine in natural cacao. Theobromine dilates the blood vessels in your brain, giving you much better focus and enabling you to think better. I feel like I'm on caffeine when I'm on it, but I'm not. I know because my blood pressure doesn't go up, my heart rate doesn't go up, but I feel alert. Also, there's medicinal mushrooms in there, and the actual raw cacao itself is a really good polyphenolic antioxidant, so it really helps detoxify your body. When you start eating these things, if you eat 2 or 3 squares a day, you will notice the first week or 2 you're on them, you will have the weirdest bathroom habits. Stuff will be coming out of you didn't even know existed. And it's something that you can eat while you're dieting, because these raw cacao bars that I've made have 0 carbohydrates in them. I made them purposely that way so that people can use them as kind of like a little treat for themselves even when they're on a diet. And I have to say that probably 80% of the people who buy from me are women. Women love chocolate. So anyway, if you want to check it out, that's also available at DavePalumbo.com.
You're watching Ask Dave on RxMuscle.com, brought to you by Species Nutrition. We stay on our YouTube channel. And just a quick note, again, if you're watching us for the first time, hit the subscribe button below, like this video. We're going to be making all sorts of new shows and programming over the course of the contest all season. Of course, Ask Dave is a weekly staple. We have Iron Rage tomorrow as well as the 1000th episode of Muscle in the Morning, and we can't thank you enough for your support. We thought conservatively that we were going to be at about 66,000 by January 1st, 2017. We're at 67.2 now. So again, we appreciate your support. This is why we work our butts off to provide you, the fans, with the best bodybuilding content on the web. We stick on our YouTube channel and go to Mushfiq Mustafa. Dave, what do you think of using Metformin in the off season? Is it worth it? What is the beneficial dosage?
All right. Well, I think everyone has heard my my spiel on Metformin. Metformin, what it does is it increases insulin sensitivity. How does it do that? It increases the amount of insulin receptors on the muscle cells. More insulin receptors means that the body can respond to the insulin that the body is producing better. If you don't have a lot of insulin receptors, your body's going to think there's not enough insulin around, and it's going to start producing excessive amounts of insulin. The disadvantage of that is that high insulin levels lead to getting body fat or accumulating body fat, which is not something we want. So theoretically, if you have better insulin sensitivity via a product like metformin, you'll be able to absorb your food better and your insulin levels will be lower, so you shouldn't get as fat. Problem with metformin is they found that, as a side effect of treatment that they've seen over the years, people who had cancer, it stopped growing. It was like curing their cancer. They couldn't figure out why, and just recently they elucidated that metformin inhibits IGF-1 production, which is something that's a very potent anabolic hormone in the body. So for a bodybuilder, I don't know how beneficial it would be to take metformin, especially knowing that that IGF-1 is so vitally important to the muscle building process. So like I said, unless you had excessive high blood sugar that was not responding to diet alone, I would probably not consider using metformin. I'd rather see you use insulin than metformin, to tell you the truth.
We go to Rez, and of course, everyone knows by now, Dave and Johnny now in Florida with their families. And the next question is relevant to your move to warmer climates, and it's from Rez on our YouTube channel. I'm in the East Coast, presumably in this area. It's absolutely freezing. It's like 20 degrees outside right now. How has the warmer weather in Florida been on your joints compared to the cold Northeast weather?
Well, I walk around in a t-shirt every day and shorts. My joints, could have been better, but they are way better here in 82-degree Florida weather than they would be in New York right now. That's for sure. I do not miss the one thing I do not miss about New York is I do not miss the weather. Once you come down and live in a warm climate, you say to yourself, how the hell did I ever live in a cold climate? I don't even know how I did it for so long. But once again, I've said this on my radio show, we're all seem to love the misery we know. We're afraid of new challenges, new ideas, new environments, and that's why a lot of us don't change our environment. I'm an all-in-none guy. At some point I said to myself, that's it, I'm going to Florida. And once I made that decision in March of last year, everything that I meticulously laid out for myself plan-wise was geared towards getting down here. And it was, believe me, it was not an easy process, and it's still not completely done, but it happened, and I'm glad I'm here. And I like I said, it's not for everyone. I'm lucky in the sense that my job is not dependent on where I live. I can do my job from any place, as you guys have noticed now. We're still broadcasting, no problem with you guys. So I love it down here in Florida. I wouldn't move back for anything.
Reminder, tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have another episode of Iron Rage with Dave Palumbo and John Romano. Tomorrow morning, the 1000th episode of Muscle in the Morning. Let's go to Trend God. Dave, can high androgen steroids such as Trenbolone or Masteron at very high dosages cause water retention from CNS overstimulation? And I think the other corollary to that will be for you to explain what CNS is for those who may not be aware.
Well, the CNS is just central nervous system. So some people are saying, will I hold fluid from the central nervous system being traumatized by too much Trenbolone or high androgenic compounds? You're not going to hold water from that. You might have high blood pressure from that. You might have high rapid heart rate, and you might not be able to sleep from that, and you might have anxiety from that. But you're not going to hold water from that, I mean, unless you're raising cortisol levels because of that as well. Most people think erroneously, or wrongly, as I should say, for those who might know what the word erroneous means, that if you take high androgen compounds, you won't hold water. If you take highly anabolic compounds and take less testosterone, you won't hold water or you won't have side effects, and that's completely wrong. Okay, the higher the dosage goes, if you take 200 milligrams of Anavar a day, you will get side effects. So when you start raising these drugs, into even the safer drugs or the drugs that usually don't have side effects, into the crazy high dosages that they're not meant to be taken in, they're going to aromatize, they're going to give you side effects. I promise you that. There's no safety zone you could take. There's no drug you can take unlimited amounts of and not get side effects. That's why when I'm telling people and designing cycles for people and explaining to them testosterone is the most bang for your buck. So don't limit that and try to raise the other stuff. That's dumb. If you want to get maximum muscle gains, you take a threshold amount of testosterone, which would be anywhere from 750 to 1,200 milligrams per week, and then you subsidize that with the anabolics, whether it be Deca or Trenbolone or Equipoise or Masteron or Winstrol, whatever it be, you add that to the testosterone. You don't add testosterone to the anabolic. backwards thinking.
Let's go to South Ketka, and the question is about Dennis Wolf. A, would you ever want to work with Dennis Wolf? And then B, do you think Dennis Wolf ever can win the Olympia? Of course, he missed the 2016 Olympia, finished 5th in 2015.
To answer the question accurately, I always love the challenge of working with anyone, especially high-level pros, that are genetic freaks, because things seem to work better on their bodies. And then on the other coin, I hate working with IFBB pros because they're very needy, and they're very likely to blame you if something goes wrong. So they're not as I guess you could say, appreciative of what you're doing to them. They almost think they have it coming to them. So yes and no. It depends. Every person is different. I know Dennis, but I don't know him like super well where I hang out with him all the time. I've interviewed him a million times, but I would be willing to talk to anyone who's interested in working with me. But usually the pros come to me after they're done competing, when they want to somehow preserve their health and longevity. And then they want to know what I got to say. Anyway, can Dennis come back? That's a good question. I don't know how severe his injury is. I know he's going to be back. That's for sure. He will be back on stage. We know that. He's already made that clear. Can he be the Dennis Wolf he was prior to the injury in the neck? I don't know. That's a good question. Only Dennis knows how he feels, how his training is going. He obviously structurally has the ability to be Mr. Olympia. He has some lacking areas in his body. He's got a very long torso, and his lats seem to attach high, and so his lower back to his glute hamstring area is a very long period. There's a very long distance, and sometimes it looks like he's missing muscle there, even though he's the biggest guy on stage. So once again, bodybuilding is a big illusion. The last couple times he competed, he looked really good because he seemed to have filled out his frame, but he has trouble balancing being hard enough with being full enough, which most guys don't have to worry about that. Most guys, as long as they get ripped, they're good. He has a big problem because if he comes in too ripped and not full enough, then he looks too small. If he comes in too full, then he doesn't look hard enough. So he's got that balancing act, and that's been his whole career has been like that. When he hits it, he's amazing. When he doesn't, you want to just push him to the back of the pack. So I don't know how he's going to look. I'm looking forward to him getting back on stage because he is an exciting bodybuilder.
Let's go to our Instagram questions. The first question is about somebody that you do work with, and that is Akeem Williams. Dax Jam Boogie wants to know what you think or what you make of Akeem Williams going to Kuwait Oxygen Gym and training with the Camel Crew.
Him to go out there. When he asked me, he said, Dave, what do you think I should do? They invited me to come out there. I said, go. I said, it will make you train harder. It will make you focus better on your lagging body parts, really, which is only his back at this point. I said it will force you to work on your posing because you got nothing else to do there but train and pose. And they will put you through it. You won't have to do it yourself. They will make you pose. I said, I think you need that. I think it's almost like going to boot camp. I want him to go because I think he'll be a better bodybuilder going there, forcing him into an environment where it's only conducive to training pretty much. There's nothing else to do there, and that's good for Akeem. He needs to be focused like that. He was actually going to, I think, go the third week in January. I actually just talked to him on the phone, and I said, look, can you hold off a week because I want to get him for Bros vs. Pros on January 28th, and then we'll send him off to Kuwait to train for 3 months for the New York Pro. So that's the plan right now.
Let's go to infamous_dragons. Dave, your thoughts on canned chicken and tuna for convenience. Should it be limited, or can you theoretically eat as much as you want?
I live on those salmon packets, the bumblebee or chicken of the sea salmon packets, the wild salmon. I also use the wild mackerel. I used to be a big tuna guy. I kind of got into the salmon and mackerel, and I think it's still tastier. I'm so freaking lazy. I eat it all the time. I hope it's good for you. It's wild caught. The macros, if you read on the label, look good. There's no additives in there. To me, it should be fine. I don't know, unless I'm poisoning myself and don't know it. I believe it's fine to eat. The beginning part of my bodybuilding career, I lived on tuna because it was cheap and I didn't have a lot of money and I was in school and I grew really well on it. So I think it's okay. I think it's fine to eat. I haven't seen any studies or any where people have said, oh, people are dying because of eating tuna packets. I don't like we used to use the cans back in the 80s and 90s. Nowadays they get the packets. It's a little more convenient. So I recommend it. I'm telling you, try the wild salmon from Bumblebee or Chicken of the Sea. It's delicious. They're big packets, a lot of protein in there. You get a lot of bang for your buck.
Reminder right now on rxmuscle.com, the exclusive interview with Giannis Makos, the Greek bodybuilder who slapped the show MC. That video went viral all over the world. Dave got the first and only interview right now with Giannis Makos. He opens up to rxmuscle.com. That, as well as Iron Debate, the year-end version of Iron Debate tomorrow. Iron Rage with Dave Palumbo and John Romano. And in the morning, a special 1000th episode of Muscle in the Morning. Hoodman 521, Dave, when on keto, when you have a cheat meal at the end of your week, do you lower your fat intake that day before the evening meal?
No, that's a big mistake people make. People tell me, "Oh, should I eat less or skip a meal?" If you eat less or you skip a meal and then you do a cheat meal, are you really eating a cheat meal? You want more calories, more carbs on that day. You don't want to try to even it out by, oh, you know what, I'll miss the first 2 meals of the day so I can have a big cheat meal at the end of the day. No, you're not changing the how you're apportioning the foods throughout the day so that you can eat more. You're eating more food that day. That higher calorie or higher influx of macronutrients coming into your body will stimulate your metabolism. That's the key to the cheat meal. It's to eat an excessive amount of calories, not, maybe the word excessive is not good, an extra amount of calories so that your body is shocked and is confused as to the fact that you're dieting, so it ups the metabolism.
We'll take one more question. This one from Jevnikar Fitness. Dave, have you ever had an umbilical hernia or any hernia? Did you continue to train for many years, or should it be something that's taken care of right away?
I induced my umbilical hernia from all the food I was from eating 12 times a day. It popped out a little bit. Probably it was probably in the early 2000s, and I got it fixed because it cosmetically didn't look good. It never bothered me. Like, I could train. It didn't bother me. It didn't hurt. It was a very tiny little pinhole. It just didn't look good because it looked like my belly button was just popping out a little bit. So I got it fixed for cosmetic reasons. But if it's bothering you, especially while you're training, I would definitely get it fixed. If it's not, and it doesn't look that bad cosmetically, you don't have to. I mean, once again, if it's affecting what the judges are telling you about your physique on stage, then I would do something about it. Lee Haney had an umbilical hernia his whole life. He had an Audi belly button his whole life, and he won 8 Olympias like that. So it depends on how it looks. If it's distracting, and people are noticing it and saying stuff to you, then I would get it fixed. It's not a big deal. I think I was out of the gym for like 2 weeks or something like that, or 2.5 weeks. And I was training again after that. So it's not a big procedure. They put some mesh in there usually, and that usually solves the problem. I just want to mention, a lot of people, email me and text me after these Ask Dave shows, and they're like, "We need more. It's too short. We wanted more questions." Well, you know what, guys? I have something called the Dave Palumbo Experience app. It's a new app I have out, relatively new now. It's been out for several months now, and it's $29 a month. You sign up at your iTunes store or your Android store, you download it to your phone, and it's a compilation of all the articles and videos that I've done over the years, plus new stuff we put up every single month. I have a partner. Every day there's new content that puts up, and I do a specific Q&A for the app members. So you guys can submit your questions. It's a private Q&A video that goes up once a week, answering all the app users' questions for that week, if you have any. There's workouts that get put up there. It's a terrific reference. It's like having a little library of everything you could possibly want to know about bodybuilding and protocols and drugs and supplements and workouts. And it's terrific. And I got to thank my partner Mark, because I give him stuff and he puts it up instantaneous. He's fantastic. We have a lot of members now. People really love it. I got a lot of good feedback from it. So you guys might want to check it out once again at your iPhone's app store or your Android app store. And I just want to say, Sid, I'm so thrilled about this 1000th edition of Muscle in the Morning tomorrow. A lot of celebrities in our industry have given us some great videos. I don't want to ruin it for anyone. I haven't even seen it. Johnny hasn't even showed me half the stuff that he's got. He's been working like a little wizard over there in the corner, and very quietly with headphones on. I don't know what he's doing exactly, but it seems like it should be a monumental episode tomorrow morning. So guys, you're not going to want to miss that. Also, don't forget Iron Rage will be up tomorrow. And next week, we got some great content coming up before the Christmas vacation, and then the week after that, before New Year. So we are not done here at RX Muscle. I know everyone else is, but we got tons and tons of stuff to put up for you in the coming weeks. Don't miss it.
And Iron Rage tomorrow afternoon, Muscle in the Morning, a celebrity-packed 1000th episode of Muscle in the Morning tomorrow morning on rxmuscle.com. Available right now. Iron Debate as well as Giannis Marcos exclusive interview. Dave, you wanted to jump in?
And one more thing Johnny and I wanted to mention. Johnny, when I was in San Marino with Johnny 2 weeks ago, there was a Guru Legend seminar. It was Sean Roden, myself, George Farah, Dexter Jackson, Rich Gaspari, Sean Ray, Flex Wheeler. It doesn't get much better than that. That's about the best seminar you can put up there. I mean, all these guys, not only are they, I'm not a legend, but I might have stories of a legend. There's so much knowledge up on that panel. Johnny filmed the whole thing. Now, let me explain to you what Johnny had to do. Johnny had to film the thing, but it was brutal to film it because every time we spoke a sentence, they had to translate what we were saying into Italian. So Johnny filmed all this, and he cut out all the translations so that you guys can watch it effortlessly. And it's not the whole thing, but we took the best parts and we put them up, the best questions, and we broke them up into different parts. Part 1 is up. Part 2 just went up yesterday. I'm telling you, if you want to watch something and get some truly great historical information, as well as great insights from top-level, legends in the sport, you got to watch this seminar. It's on the YouTube channel. Like I said, it's Part 1's up, Part 2 is also up, and Part 3 will probably go up, next week, Johnny? Yeah, next week will be Part 3. Terrifically entertaining. I watched it, and I was there, and I was like, wow, this was really pretty good. Being a fan of the sport, I really enjoyed it. There were some great stories told by Flex and Dexter. Oh, I forgot Dexter Jackson was there too. How can I forget the Blade himself, the winningest bodybuilder of all time? So check it out. I'm telling you, you guys will love this. And if you like all this content on the RX Muscle YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. Because by you subscribing, you're telling us you enjoy what we're doing, and it inspires us to do even more.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Go now to Species Nutrition. $25 purchase will get you Nitrolized S Berry Blast flavor. For Dave Palumbo and Johnny Styles, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you next week.